Welcome, everyone. I really am glad to be with you together. It's been a while. It's been about a week since I've done a YouTube stream. Basically, I stopped doing them both concurrently because it was just so hard to do both of them concurrently. So basically, I'm doing I'm trying to do a sermon daily on YouTube, on Facebook, and on the weekend I will do Storytime Sunday on Facebook and YouTube. Just because YouTube is better. Sometimes YouTube is a bit fussy and won't let me on, so that's why. So if you YouTubers want to add me on Facebook, and you'll get my daily, sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, word in this time of uncertainty with coronavirus and other things too, just to encourage people and give people the word. So yeah, so today's Storytime Sunday is called Before You Were. And it's a mixture of three stories kind of into one. So let's begin. Okay. These three people, Darlene, O'Shea, and four people: Darlene, O'Shea, Terrence, and for different reasons, for different really stories that they've, for different life circumstances that they've gone through. The first one, and they are walking. It starts off with the four of them walking in different directions. Two of them are walking east. One of them is walking north. One of them is walking south. One of them is walking east, and one they're building. And each of them look up at the building, and they see on the building, they see a sign saying, "Before you were." And each of them don't know why they're at this particular building, but that says "Before you were," but something is drawing each of them to this building. So Darlene, O'Shea, Terrence, and Becky, they don't know why they're drawn to this place, but something is drawing them to this place. And when Becky knocks on the door, they introduce themselves to each other and say hello to each other. And then Becky decides to knock on the door. And then when she knocks on the door, she's this this biker with a bandana and a leather jacket comes to the door and says, "Come in, come in, come in. Welcome, welcome, everybody." Um, and Terrence says, O'Shea says, "What is this place?" Um, oh, it's called Before. And the person said, "Well, it's called Before You Were." And they said, and Becky said, "Before you were what?" And the leader says, "I'll get to that later. Why don't the four of you take a seat?" And first of all, why don't the four of you take a seat? And then they don't know why they're doing this. They don't even know why they're at this place, and they don't even know what they're doing in this specific place. But there's something about the man's gentle smile. There's something about his nature that invites like peace all four of them. So they take a seat in this room with four chairs. And the man said, when they're all seated, the leader says, well, before I tell you what before you were means, I like to know a bit of your stories. Why don't you, and he says, why don't you start by each of you telling me your names? Well, and Darlene starts. She says, my name is Darlene, and I had a twin sister, Debbie. And Debbie and I were very different. Debbie was a model from the from the from the day Debbie and I were born. We were twins. And from the day we were born, we were totally different. She was so outgoing. She was so, she had a lot of friends. She was skinny and she knew she wanted to be a model. So when she left high school, she didn't go to college. She went into modeling and she became this huge model. And Becky said, "Oh, is your sister Debbie Townsend?" And 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 Darlene says, "Yeah, my sister Debbie Townsend." He's like, "Oh wow, she's so pretty." Oh, she's like, "Oh wait, I know, I heard what happened to her. I'm so sorry." That's okay. And Terrence says, "I've never heard of Debbie Townsend." He's like, "Well, she she was a mo she was a model, and she lived kind of that whole part of your life lifestyle. And then after a shoot one day, she 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 went she went to a club with another model. They got drunk, and unfortunately they drove home, and and her male model friend Ryan lost control of the wheel, and Debbie died. And they're like, "Oh, Darlene, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that your sister died." Their arms around her. She's like, "You know what? I know I should be feeling grief and whatever I am, but I'm more angry with Debbie than anything else." She said, "I'm a Christian, and I told her over and over again. I invited her over and over again to come to church with me, to give her life to the Lord, to stop partying and being so irresponsible and drinking and driving." This wasn't her first time drinking and driving, and I said to her that one day it would kill her, and it did. So although I'm grieving, I'm more angry at her than sad, because I'll miss her. Although that leader said, "Will anger," the leader asked one simple question, "will anger change anything about your sister, about her passing?" And Darlene said, "No, but it's so hard to let go." He's like, he says, "I think your sister knew what she was doing. She was a very unhappy person, and she felt that she wasn't good enough for God, and every time you would invite her, she would it wasn't you she was rejecting. It was the whole God thing, because she thought she wasn't good enough." Um, and Darlene said, "Hey, how do you know? Did you know my sister?" And the leader says, "Yeah, I knew her very well." And he's like, "Yeah, I knew her very well." And she said, she said, "What do I do with this anger?" She said, "I have so much anger and so much hurt towards her and so much pain and so many questions, like, why didn't she listen to me? Why did she get into that car drunk? Why did she do all this?" I have so many questions. She's like, and the leader's like, "The questions are not why. The she said, "You can't change why. You can't find out why. And even if you did, you couldn't change it out of it." And she's like, "I don't know." And the leader says, you'll figure it out. And she just feels such peace and such love. It the hurt and the anger is not gone, but she knows just with the touch of the leader's hand that everything is going to be all right. And um, Terrence said, "Okay, I'll go next." And Terrence said, "Hi, my name is Terrence. Um, and I grew up in a pastor's home, and I went to church all my life, and I've been a Christian all my life. Um, and all my life I've been told that homosexuality is wrong. But when I was 13, and it was very confusing for me, and I tried to deny it, but and I was thinking that it was just the devil, and if I would just ignore it and cast it out, it would go. But it didn't go. It became stronger, and the thing was, I wasn't molested. I didn't go through any childhood abuse or anything. And I just was so confused because in church, I was told that homosexuality is wrong, but inside, I just couldn't turn it off. And when I was 16, and then I liked it. And then I thought, you know what? To heck with it. This is who I am. This is how I'm going to be. So forget it. So I told my parents that I was gay. I'm gay and I'm moving out and I'm done with this. So I moved out. I got my own place. I um I got with people in the LGBT community, uh, people that understood me, people that loved me, people that accepted me. But when I was going through all that, I still loved Jesus. So it was so confusing for me because here I was finally accepting who I was, but I would have to deny part of who I was to embrace that other part. So, um, so my father, needless to say, was really upset at that part of me that loved Jesus and wanted to worship. But on the other hand, I was gay and with these people that didn't understand how I loved Christ. Still, although his people didn't love me, and it was just so confusing that I didn't know, and I tried to I didn't fit in with the LGBT church that I tried to go to because they were saying that parts of God's word were for then and not for now. And in my heart, I knew that wasn't true, but the traditional church didn't accept me. So, so I'm now at crossroads. Do I deny who I am, or do I deny my faith? So I'm at a crossroads, and the leader says, "Thank you for sharing." He says, "Do you know anything about your grandfather?" And he says, "No, not really. My mom's dad died when I was really young, and so did my dad's dad. And do you know that your mom's dad had the same dilemma that you did, but back then he didn't tell anyone that he was secretly having feelings for men, and he just kept it to himself and died inside. And your dad's dad was completely the opposite. He was um, very against the homosexual people, to the point that he wanted to kill them. So both these generational factors are fighting in you. It's like the Cain and Abel thing. Like, part of you wants to give your whole self to God, and part of you wants to give your whole self to who you are, and you're kind of confused. And it's been a generational thing in your family on both sides for a really long time. And I just came to tell you, the truth will reveal itself in time. Don't worry so much about figuring it out now. Just let it be as it is. And when the time comes, you will be shown what to do. Don't agonize, just let go. Don't agonize, should I be gay or should I be a Christian? Just let go and let God take you where He wants to take you. He says, "And Debbie, what is your story?" She was really young, but when she was 4 when she moved to Canada. But when she was 4, her first year in Canada, she was in an accident that left her in a wheelchair. And she felt the calling of God on her life to go into ministry when she was in her 20s. So she got student loans and did the Bible college thing and wanted to totally preach the gospel. But the churches that she was a part of, they didn't accept her. They accepted her, they loved her, but they couldn't see past the fact that she had a disability. They couldn't see past the fact that she had more to offer than being an inspiration in a chair, that she could actually preach and do things that the Lord had called her to do. And she was there because churches she had gone to, she hadn't come to a place of forgiveness yet. And the leader said to her, when she was done her story, he said to her, you need to come to a place of forgiveness. Forgive your former pastor. People get it all wrong. And she's like, and he's like, give people room to be human. Give people room to not understand you. Give people room to make mistakes. And he said, you weren't meant to be at that church. You weren't meant to learn from that church, but you weren't meant to be at that church. And the other guy, O'Shea, was the most normal of the group. He had a 9-to-5 job, and he went to work and served in his church. But the thing with O'Shea is because he was doing all the right things, but his life lacked real purpose stuff. Why are you trying to perform for people that don't actually like you or respect you? They talk about you behind your back, and they laugh at your endeavors. The leader's like, you have so much vision in you. You have things in you that you haven't even tapped into yet. You have things in you that you don't even know of yet. And you're staying in a dead end place because you think that's the only thing for you, but it's not. And he said, dead end places are not physical places. So you could be in a great physical place, but in a spiritual dead end place or an emotional dead end place. And he said, a lot of people are like you. They don't have these dramatic stories, but they're in dead end places. He's like, you were not called to be in a dead end place. You were called to live. You were called to thrive, not just survive. And when each person was done with their story, the leader said, the reason why all of you guys felt called here is for me to give you one message. My name's Jesse, and I love helping people. I've been doing it for years now, and I just have such love for the four of you. And today, what I want to say is, before you were your label, you were mine. And they all looked around and they were all like, what? He said, you're not going to believe this, but I'm actually Jesus Christ. And I've come to you, I've brought you forward to this place to tell you how much I love you, how much I adore what both of you, what all four of you have become. And I want to tell you, like I told Jeremiah, before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you. So, Darlene, before you were overweight, you were mine. I saw every moment you were teased, and because of that teasing, you went into the fridge, and you were even teased by your sister. I saw every moment that you were abused by friends and by people that couldn't love you but just wanted to get to your popular sister. I saw the time where you drank a whole bottle of cleaner before you were Debbie's sister, before you were even Darlene, before you were even female. You were mine. You are mine. I love you just the way you are. And Darlene, upon hearing this, falls on her face because she feels such love and such joy and such compassion from this leader who she now knows is Jesus Christ incarnate. And he said, Terrence, I knew when you were, I knew the first time that you looked at a 14-year-old boy in gym class and was admiring his body. I knew your confusion. I knew that. And I just want to say, before you were gay, before you were a pastor's son, before you were male, before you were born, you were mine. I loved you. And despite whatever you're going through, I still love you. You are still mine. And nothing will affect my love for you. And you'll find your way through this. There is hope at the end of this. And you will find your way through. Debbie, oh, O'Shea, where there's a lack of purpose, there's a lack of life. I want you to live. I want you to thrive. I want you to get out of this broken place that you've been in and understand that you weren't meant to be in a dead end job. You weren't meant to be in this place. It is a emotional place. No, it is first of all a spiritual place that you have to get up and leave. A lot of people, O'Shea, get up and leave physical places, but they still carry the same old spiritual demons with them, and you don't have to. You can get up and leave your spiritual demons behind. And Becky, you don't have to search for people's approval and what I put in you. What I put in you, Becky, will stand. You don't have to worry about what pastor acknowledges you, what pastor sees you, what who loves you, who doesn't love you. It's not that they don't love you. It's just that they can't. The people at your church, the people in India, the people that couldn't handle the fact you were in a wheelchair in India, the people that you were around and that hurt you, they couldn't handle what was in you. And the fact that people were walking away was not because of something bad you did. It was because they saw something in you that they couldn't handle. But don't worry, one day I will send people that could handle who you are. Becky, hold on. I will promote you when it's time. Just wait, girl. Wait and trust me. And know that I am God. And know that I'm here for you. And know that I've seen every tear that you've cried. I've seen every time people have walked away from you. I've seen every. But I'm here to tell you that they won't let you, the right people won't let you down. They won't bring you down. They'll lift you up. Just wait on me, Becky. I know it's hard, but just wait on me. The room fell silent. Everyone just didn't know what to say. It's like Jesus Christ, what was totally in the room. They wanted to ask so many questions, but in that moment, they couldn't do anything but stare at him and absorb what he said. He said, and then he gets up, the leader gets up and said, I must leave you, but I'm not going far. I'm only a prayer away. And he walks out the door. And all of these people say, wow, what an experience. And so when they go back, what happens to Becky, the person from India in the wheelchair? She gets involved with a ministry with a vision for the disabled in the body of Christ. And together they started ministry for the disabled. And that ministry starts blessing so many people. And that ministry becomes worldwide. And what happens to Darlene is that she thinks about what Jesus said to her, and in her heart, she knows that she has to forgive her sister and the man that was driving. So she goes to the hospital and becomes friends with him, and then they he gets to know the Lord through her because she was so changed by this experience with Jesus that she started treating the man with kindness and love and respect. And he got to know the Lord. And after he got to know the Lord, years after, feelings started to change and they got closer together and they got married. Uh, her and Ryan, the person that was in the car with her sister. And what happened to O'Shea was that he'd always liked nature and like studying the glory of God in nature. So he became an environmentalist, protecting our nation's resources and educating people on the environment and how to uh, deal with environmental issues. Um, oh, and Terrence asked for forgiveness from his father and and actually began to mend fences with his father, and because when he got into Christ again, he had his ex-boyfriend on one side and a girlfriend from church who was interested in him on the other. So he told both of them that he had to sort things out, that he wanted to be alone because he had to figure out himself with God and him and who God wanted him to be, because he realized he wasn't first gay, he was first God's. And being that, he knew that God would bring a solution, a resolution to this struggle he was having. But for God to bring him there, God had to empty out his life and really and really take him to a place where he could just be who God wanted him to be. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this Storytime Sunday. I hope you find it powerful. And please share any of these Storytime Sundays that you find helpful or whatever. I found this one to be really powerful because the Lord said to me, whatever label society has put on you, whether disabled or, businessman or gay or whatever label society's put on you, first, before you were that, before you were the label, you were his. And work everything else. Everything else will come after that. But we are so in fixing this that we forget we're first his. And when we remember that, he can work all the other stuff out. But first, we have to remember that we are his. And that's what he wanted me to tell you. Whatever label society has put on you, whether disabled or gay or whatever, you are first God's. All you have to do is receive the fact that you're God. That he says, if you believe in your heart and confess with your forgiveness, he's just waiting to forgive you, to wrap his arms around you and he's only too happy to receive you today, and all your mess and all your mistakes and everything you've done. God accepts you the way you are, but he won't keep you the way you are. It'll take work. It'll be a process, but the process is so worth it, beloved. Bye. Take care. See you next week for Storytime Sunday. And remember, before you were whatever, you were mine. Meaning you were God's. That's what he wanted you to know today. Before you were a label, you were his. So bye. Have a good weekend. Not have a good weekend. I hope you're enjoying your weekend. God bless you. See you next weekend, YouTube. See you. No grace on your life for someone such as me. The beauty of heaven is here in my heart, and I know there can be no greater love than this. No greater love than this. That you will lay down your life for some. one such as me. I'll spend a lifetime wondering why the beauty of heaven is here in my heart. That was by Rachel Lamb. It's called No Greater Love. Bye. See you soon. Take care.